What is up, guys? For this video we're going to be pulling the engine and transmission out of the Dakota to start things off for version 3 of the turbo kit. I will let you guys know now a couple of my plans have changed a little bit just because of part compatibility, but we'll talk more about that probably in a later video. But for tonight, my goal is to at least have the engine ready to come out, maybe not necessarily pulled, but fluids out of it, everything unbolted and pulled off the motor, drive shaft out, that sort of thing. And then if there's enough time, I'll go ahead and yank the engine out while I'm here. So first thing to do is to get all the fluids out of it, so transmission fluid, oil, coolant, and once those are taken care of, unplug everything, unbolt stuff, yank it out. I'm going to try to yank it out with as much stuff still attached to the engine as possible just to save time, and it'll be easier to do it when it's not in the truck. So I'm going to real quick just get through draining all the fluids, and then we'll begin working under the hood and under the truck as well. I'm going to get that stuff knocked out real quick because there's not much down there. Hopefully by the end of the night the engine and transmission is out, but at the very least I want to have everything ready to come out. So I'm going to get working on that, and I will get back with you guys with an update in a little bit. Alright, I got coolant draining. Already drained the transmission there. I wanted to show you guys the drain plug from the transmission. If you look in the very bottom, if you'll focus on it, see a lot of metal in the magnet, but nothing like crazy. Some of that was probably floating in there before the last oil change was done on the transmission, but there's a little bit of brass material that's fallen inside of there as well. Obviously it's not magnetic, so it's just collected in there. That's a synchronizer material. Definitely confirms my theory that I have a worn out synchronizer on third gear as well as many other gears. So wanted to show you guys that real quick before I put this in. Transmission's getting rebuilt anyway, so I'm not going to bother cleaning this off. I'm just going to pop it back in there for now and just close the transmission back up. I've got to drain the oil still, let the coolant continue to drain because it's a Grand Am radiator. They got a really tiny drain fitting on them, so it's going to take a minute. And then I want to pull one of the block drains as well once that is done, so I can get the block most of the way empty so I don't make a huge mess when I go to pull the engine out. And I also got to get the radiator to drain, you have to unbolt it because of the way I set everything up, so I had to pull the grill and the headlights off as well. So we're getting somewhere. Gotta wait for that, put this drain plug back in, get the engine oil drained, and then we'll be ready to start removing more stuff. Alright, so we've taken some more stuff off. The hood is off. I pulled the drive shaft while I was down there draining the transmission, and Nate's in there pulling some stuff out of the truck, and he's also dropping stuff. And all the coolant's out, all the oil's out, all the trans fluid is out. So I'm going to probably go underneath the truck and pull the trans mount and some of that stuff so that I can be done crawling around underneath, and then we'll start taking stuff apart up here. And there's really not much to take off, and then the engine just comes right out. So we're just going to keep working on stuff and try to get this thing done tonight. Alright, I've gotten a little bit more stuff taken off. Everything under the truck is removed, so the slave cylinder, the cross member, and the motor mount, cross member and trans mount I should say, is right there. All the fluids are drained, so the trans fluid, engine oil, all that stuff's out. Coolant is all out. I'm still dripping in a couple spots. I think I broke the drain plug in here, or the O-ring slipped or something, which is fine because I won't be using that radiator anymore anyway. But all the fluids are out, so I won't have a tsunami when I go to pull the engine out and coolant rushing everywhere, hopefully. So basically all that's left to do is start unbolting stuff from up here, so the exhaust, the intercooler, all the wiring's got to come off, and then of course finally the engine mounts will be last. I might do this tonight even though Nate had to leave, but he'll be back tomorrow probably to help me do stuff, so I might get everything ready to be pulled out, and then when he gets here tomorrow we'll go and take the engine out because it's a lot easier with a second set of hands. But we'll just see how I'm feeling tonight. I might just go ahead and get it all done in one shot. Things are going well so far. I haven't broken anything, so that's always a good thing. Did find out that my transmission mount is bad already. You can see all the cracks on it and everything. This thing is completely falling apart. It's collapsed. You can see there. So I'm gonna have to get a new one of those. I'm gonna actually buy a nice one this time. I'm going to be running probably some, not solid motor mounts, but like polyurethane motor mounts on the front. I'm going to keep a stock transmission mount in the back because these NV3500s like to bust the ears off of transmission mount brakes. So restricting the engine movement but letting the transmission flop around as much as it wants is a big plus, especially with the chassis flexing and stuff. Actually, one of the ears is like half broken on this transmission already, and it still bolts up fine and everything, but there's a chunk of it missing down there, which isn't good. a lot of times you go to the junkyards to pull one of these transmissions and both ears have been completely busted off, and you'll see people with ratchet straps and chains and stuff holding the transmission down. Yeah, things are coming along nicely. I'm going to keep working on it. There's a spider running across my floor right there. And either tonight or tomorrow, we'll have this engine out and be able to begin working on some other stuff. Alright guys, everything is out. All the lines, wiring, plugs, whatever it may be, has been completely removed. I removed a few sort of unnecessary things like the turbocharger and some of the exhaust, just because I wanted it to be a little bit easier to get everything up and out of here. But yeah, everything is unhooked. Motor mounts are unbolted. There's a jack under the transmission right now. Everything is free. I am just going to get the hoist hooked up and try to pull this thing out, see if I forget anything. If I didn't forget anything, this thing should be out in a couple of minutes here. So I'm going to get you guys back on the tripod. I had to take the camera off and let it charge for a little bit, that way I don't die during this part of it. So yeah, that's where we're at. Get the hoist on it, see if I can yank this thing out before the night's over. I do think, now that I'm looking at this, I'm probably going to go ahead and set the truck back on the ground. Otherwise, I'm going to have some ceiling clearance issues here, especially with the transmission hanging off the back. So set the thing on the ground, then get the hoist on it, and then try yanking this thing out. Alright, the truck is back on the ground now. So I gotta pull that pin out first. Get the hoist under it, and start yanking that engine out of there. Oh. Well, that's as far up as I can go, I guess, because I'm hitting control arms. So that's good. Hopefully I can stick this thing all the way out on half ton and reach it, because it's going to be interesting. There we go. That should be good enough to pop this guy off of here. Jeez. Now we're moving. I think. Yeah. Beautiful. If this was a car that I really cared about how it looked, I'd be a lot more gentle with it. But look at this thing. Do I care? No. That is out. Just gonna have to scoot some things around. There we go. Grab these out of here while I can. Doesn't look like I forgot anything this time. Don't see anything hanging on. I think I did good this time. I usually forget like one wire. Last time I think I missed a ground strap. I'm just good at doing that, so. No, I think this time I got it all. Ah, technically I did miss something here. Plug wire looped around the throttle cable. Put you back. Yeah, there's nothing hooked up to it. First time I pulled the engine out of this without forgetting anything. Oh, I know what I was getting stuck on. I'll show you guys in a second. I forgot about this. One nice thing about, change one to go the other way. One nice thing about this truck being lowered now is that I have plenty of ceiling clearance if I pull this thing out. Even with the transmission swinging around on it. I should move that light at some point, but like we're gonna make it. Without hitting the light, hopefully. This transmission doesn't weigh any more than like 100 pounds. And there's some accessories on the front of the engine already still, so that might be why I was having the balancing issue. Expecting it to be a little bit further off. But, okay. Let's get that away from the bumper so I don't completely destroy it. There we go. Alright, that's it. Engine and transmission is out. I'm going to get this thing set on the floor and I'll let you guys take a look at what we got hung up on, because I forget about this every time I go to pull an engine out of this truck. And I guess that's going to be the end once I get this thing sat down on something. Alright, there it is. Engine is just resting on the ground for now. This is where I'm going to leave it until I get over here to get the transmission taken off of it. There's a lot more teardown that needs to happen to the truck, of course. Old exhaust is still in here. All of the old wiring is coming out as well, and a bunch of the fuel cell, all the fuel lines underneath, the battery, all that is coming out, including the actual bed itself is also coming off the truck because I have a new one to put on it. So when I go to do the frame repair into the truck, I'm going to take the bed off, do the frame repair, and then put the new bed on, and it'll be a lot easier to do all that stuff. But yeah, that's the smoothest this has ever gone for me. And the thing I was getting hung up on, if you ever pull an engine out of one of these Dakotas, you have to remove the oil filter. So you can see right there the oil filter was hitting the cross member. You can actually see the white paint from the filter right there. So you have to remove it. I forgot about it and it came out anyway, but it would have come out a lot easier had I remembered to remove that from there. But yeah, that's it. The engine is ready for new turbo kit and stuff. The truck is ready for new front end stuff first. So I know I've talked about the bushing issue, but if you look right here, there isn't a bushing there anymore. It's just totally gone. And then the inner tie rod, whoa, way out of focus. The inner tie rod on this side is totally wasted. All the other bushings are very worn out. Obviously there is no bushing there to be worn out. It's completely gone. So this truck is getting new bushings in the upper and lower control arms, new ball joints, new inner and outer tie rods, new rack bushings, new sway bar bushings, new sway bar end links. I'm doing everything all at once. It's going to be super easy with the engine out of the way, especially on this side because the engine literally sits over top of it because it sits off center. So that is the next plan. It's just to finish. My plan is to finish removing the rest of the stuff from the truck, the bed, fuel cell, the battery, all the wiring, fuel lines, brake lines as well. I'm going to be rerouting a bunch of them and just getting the rest of the teardown done, and then doing the front suspension first, frame repair, and then probably rerunning the new brake lines, rerouting stuff. And once all that stuff is done, it'll probably be time to rebuild the transmission, get the transmission put back on the engine. I may be doing upgraded head studs on the engine as well. Once that's done, I'm going to be upgrading the motor mounts, getting a new transmission mount because that one I showed you guys is completely destroyed again, and putting it back in, and then building a new turbo kit, new turbo, and just building it off from there. But suspension and rust repair are top priority, the front end especially, and then of course the frame, and then getting the bed off and getting all that stuff out of the way, doing the brake lines, which will once again be easier with the bed not being there because I can get to the axle ones and everything a lot easier. So that is the plan. Get chassis ready to go first after finishing the teardown, and then getting this stuff here ready to go, transmission rebuild, and then engine stuff. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.